Hello, my name is Ilona, and I want to start by looking at something that happened in the Netherlands, which was very unique. There was a meeting about the general political considerations, that's what it's called. It's a very important meeting with the government and the parliament, and they are going to talk and discuss about their plans. They actually dropped this past Tuesday, which is called Prinsjesdag, which is very important in the Netherlands politically, if you look at that. So they were going to talk about that, and there are, of course, a lot of very important issues here in the Netherlands right now, and a lot of people are not very satisfied with the government and with what's happening. But one of the people in the parliament, Baudet, he is a politician, spoke about the Minister of Finances, Kaag, about her connections, her university she actually attended, and connections with some nefarious agencies and things like that. And she just got up and left. And not only her, she left, but the rest of the government as well. Because all the ministers just left in the middle of a very important meeting. I'm not even sure if some returned or not, but Baudet wasn't allowed to speak anymore. So they really just shut him down, which is unique. This is called a democracy. I thought it was very interesting. Here in the Netherlands, we have someone in the media also saying things about Baudet that should happen to him. That's someone who always has a kind of a big mouth around here in the Netherlands. Very interesting. So the media is kind of jumping on top of Baudet, that he shouldn't say this, that it's all misinformation and nonsense. But the interesting part is that this is everywhere on all the front pages of newspapers. It's very interesting. This is unique. And I thought I wanted to take a look at that. Like, what is the energy? What is going on behind this entire situation? Because this really looked so contrived to me. This really looked like a puppet show again. Like they actually said to each other, all those ministers, something, if Baudet is going to say something, we're just going to get up and leave. That's pretty much what it felt like. So the first card I got was the Ace of Swords. The central card was the Knight of Cups. The card in the past was the High Priestess. The card underneath the central card was the Magician. And this was quite an interesting card. It's the Six of Cups and the Three of Wands. Well, first of all, this is an opportunity for people to really see. So this is, again, not for the people that already understand what's going on. What Baudet was saying was actually very true. There are many connections with the World Economic Forum, with ministers, with also certain universities. There's a lot of connections with universities and agencies, and it's really all connected basically. So he was talking about that. So a lot of people are now seeing that, because this was of course shown everywhere in the media because it was so unique. So to me, this is an opportunity for people to actually see the truth, start seeing the truth. If they want to hear it, that's something else. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are like, that man is awful, just like what Derksen, that's the man with the quite, how you say that, outspoken opinion. He said something should happen to Baudet, which is just... Everyone should have the right to say what they want to say. This is supposed to be a democracy. So obviously this isn't a democracy. And people are now starting to see this because they didn't want to hear what he had to say. I believe, of course, from my perspective, he was saying a lot of truth. But a lot of people there, of course, do not want to hear it. And I'm sure a lot of people at home were like, yeah, you shouldn't say those things. That's awful. But, really wishing someone harm is awful as well. And like I've mentioned, this is supposed to be a democracy. And I do believe that this was all staged. I think the dark energies, this is part of the dark energies showing their power, by just walking away. So they're not even going to listen. But this has white influences, because the white showing the people, they're not there for you. These ministers aren't there for you. They're there for their agenda, their truth. They don't want to hear anything else. They don't want people to know their true connections, their true agendas. And that's what this is showing. This is about manipulating. The Magician is also about manipulating. And I think it is from the dark energies in a way, although I do believe they already are in a way under control, the government, a lot of governments are, but they're still rolling out their agenda. It's just showing that the dark energies and all those puppets really don't want to hear anything else. They just want to hear what they want to hear, do what they want to do. They are not there for the people of the Netherlands and worldwide. Most of those dark puppets are not there for anything else but the dark agenda. And that is now being shown. It's shown to the people. And there is a lot of resistance going on. Even with the king, there was a lot of, he was in his gold carriage there, and on the balcony, there was a lot of booing Tuesday. Because nobody really wants them anymore. And there is a lot of dissatisfaction about how the government is handling things. People are seeing that the government is just not doing anything. It's almost like they're doing it on purpose, which they are. Because it's part of their agenda, and people are starting to wake up to that. There's something wrong. They're not there for us. They're sending all this money to the Ukraine while we need money for our own people. But we have to worry about the suffering in Ukraine. That's actually what Kaag, that's the Minister of Finances, that walked away. He was obviously, Baudet was talking about her, and she was the one that walked away, and then the rest followed. Like I've mentioned before, they probably agreed to that. But she said that we should worry about the suffering of the Ukraine. And it's almost like we should be more worried about the Ukraine than the people in the Netherlands. There are people who cannot feed their own children. There are people who cannot pay their bills anymore. But yes, we should just send money to the Ukraine. Well, obviously this has to do with the dark energies. People are being fed up. And I do believe that this is actually showing people that really this government is not here for us. This is an interesting card though. This is the 6 of Cups. Usually a card for children, and we have the 3 of Wands, which is just kind of wait and see what's going to happen because of this. Maybe things will be connected to the missing children as well. We have, of course, with the taxes, I've mentioned this before. This is an enormous case in the Netherlands, missing children, but let's face it, there are missing children everywhere around the world. It's possible there's going to be a connection with that, but it's more of a wait and see what's going to happen now, because this caused a big stir. But that's important to wake up people, to just sow some seeds. And people maybe, they're hearing him talk and wondering what was he saying about Kaag. And maybe some people will start to investigate that as well. So it's very interesting what's going on. I also looked at, of course, the Third World War that apparently is coming. We have Mr. P. Firm words, and I do think that we are really heading towards something. The first card I've got was the High Priest. The central card was the Fool. We've got the 4 of Swords in the past. We've got the King of Wands underneath the central card. For the future, near future, we have the 5 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords, 2 5s. I actually got another card, and that's the Knight of Cups. Just more to explain, or just more insight into these last cards. So the 5 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords. This is really about cleaning up the dark energies. The dark energies want a war. That's why the media is jumping on top of it. All these fearful things. It's going to happen. They're really aiming for this nuclear war that's going to happen. But really, the white hats are behind this, and they're going to use these things to get the army, to get the military going, and to ultimately step in. I do not believe we're heading towards a real war. And let's face it, we are practically already in a war. And I also wanted to mention, when I talk about a spiritual war, I'm talking about the war of our soul, our energy. So it doesn't mean that there's a war in the spiritual world, but the war that's going on here, the dark energies want our spirit. They want our soul. They want our energy. That's why I call it a spiritual war. Someone actually mentioned in a reaction that she actually thought that I meant that there's a war in the spiritual world. There isn't. Although it probably has an effect. That's why we have help from the spiritual world as well, because something truly happens with our souls, and if they are capable of controlling our energy and souls, that will have a massive effect on the universe, on the multi-universe, and on the spiritual levels. So that should not happen. But this entire thing about the war that's now coming is really about opening up a new cycle. This is necessary to get all the military in place. That's at least how I see it. And also, again, draining the swamp. So I'm sure there's some dark energy still popping up and they can take care of that. So that's interesting to me. It's going to get tough. The near future, I don't know how long it's going to take, but people will feel out in the cold, feel they don't have enough money, feel this grim atmosphere, this is really a card of war, power play. The media is going to jump on top of it, scare things like, this is going to happen. We have to worry about this. They're going to frighten people, panic. And it's really an opportunity to connect with yourself again, connect with your connection with God, with Source. Know that you are all right. Trust what's going on. Work with your own energy, because that's what we are supposed to do. The white hats are working their part of what they're supposed to be doing, and we are supposed to do our part. Humanity has to step up and truly step into our power and start using our energy for ourselves and really start creating this beautiful world where anything is possible. And we really need to open ourselves to that and not get caught up in fear, in anger. If we feel those things, embrace them. Feel through it. Feel through the fear. Feel through the anxiety. Don't let it hold you down. Really, those are chances also, if something comes up, to feel through it. I've noticed myself, sometimes fear can come up. It's very old fear. It's from past lifetimes or maybe even future lifetimes, because there isn't really time. And it's time now to heal. So sometimes it can really feel very like you're overwhelmed, but it's an opportunity to heal, and we are really in the period to heal. So this is very important that we do that. I also got sort of message last night, like I've mentioned before. I don't know if it's my own unconscious that's telling me things, or things that I've kind of gathered myself in things I've read. So it's a voice I heard, and I had mentioned that things in Germany have already started. There are apparently also blackouts, which I saw yesterday, but I was told that it's starting in Germany already. In the Netherlands, it will take some time, because the biggest problem isn't the government. It's pretty much taken over, and the what's mentioned as well, the government was taken over. I'm kind of having a blackout myself right now. There was something else that was also taking over, but the biggest problem were the big companies. There was still a lot of dark energy there, and they were really the problem right now in the Netherlands. Oh, and the royal family has been taking over as well. That's what to me, there are like, especially after Tuesday, there were so many people that are so dissatisfied with the royal family, and to me, they're all kind of already gone anyway. So they're not going to last very long. That's the feeling I'm getting, although we have to wait and see. And what I mean by that is that they're not going to rule that long anymore. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to go. But that's the feeling I got, that it has to do with companies, and that they are still a lot of dark energies, and they're dealing with that. So that's interesting. So see if it resonates with you or not. And I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.